G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of the Inner City Hermit. I've got two very, very, very special guests today, Matt Hartigan and Matt Lodge. How are we doing, boys?
Yeah, really well.
Thanks so much for coming on. I can just get you to push that one close to you. There you go, perfect. I know it'll. And another thing I probably should have told you beforehand: don't tap the table because it goes fucking boom straight up through the microphones. You just hear cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, boys. Hartigan, we've been talking about doing this obviously because we're work colleagues.
Yep.
We work together at Marsden State High School, which is awesome, best excellence program in the country. But we've been talking about doing this because you have just sort of unveiled your sort of, I wouldn't even say it's sort of a side hustle. It's more of like a big hustle. Sort of like so it's 3P Performance. So specializing mainly in development of young rugby league players.
Yeah, so it's targeting 13 to 16 year olds.
Yeah.
And it's just pretty much just tapping into what I've been doing for the last 10 years. So.
Yeah, it's awesome that you've sort of built, obviously doing a lot of work with the program at school, but you've built sort of this external program too that's going to not only benefit, I guess, players from our school, but also players from just around the state as well.
Yeah, so I think we went live maybe 2 weeks ago. It's already, one of the groups is already full. And it's got a combination of kids all across the Gold Coast, and there's actually 2 kids coming from Sunshine Coast as well. So,
that's wild.
Yeah,
so are you basing it out of anywhere specifically?
Yeah, it's going to be Southport.
Oh, Southport?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we went and had a look at the facility the other day, and they've got a swimming pool, so they'll do recovery at the end of every session, and massive field space, gym. So it'll pretty much be essentially like the kids are in a professional organisation. They'll do exactly what they would do if they were in the Broncos or the Titans or the Roosters or whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those kids that don't normally make it.
That's awesome. So, and I think one thing that I really like about the program and everything sort of that you're doing is you've got a heavy like education focus as well, doing a lot of stuff on like leadership and stuff like that. Do you feel like that's something that is, I guess, just as or if not more important than the actual league itself?
Yeah, and I think having seen it now across not only my time at Blacktown but also at Marsden, mindset and ability to lead obviously contributes heavily to them going on and fulfilling not only professional rugby league but also whatever else they want to attack. And I thought getting Matt on was a good example of that because he's really focused on his life alongside football and life after football.
Yeah, definitely. I was just going to say, so Matt, Hartigan hit me up yesterday and said you were keen to come on, and I was just fucking like, yes, 100% yes. Because, I was just about to sort of switch over to your end. You sort of I was having a look at the GetWork sort of system that you've got running alongside, I guess, footy on the hold at the moment with the ACL injury. What's the sort of focus around GetWork?
Oh, so it's probably a good time with the COVID stuff coming up, but probably started about a year ago. Had the idea that, say I was a tradesman or something, or I had a crew of 3 working, and just some days you get a bit of demand or workload and you need an extra set of hands, but businesses at the moment, I guess, don't want to employ someone and full time and have the stress of that. So you can kind of jump on this app and swipe through like Tinder of local workers.
That's such a good concept.
You just bring them in for a one-off day's work and then kind of never see them again. So
yeah, that's that. And making mention of like the fact around COVID, especially now with the likelihoods of getting permanent work at the moment as a tradesman is super difficult. I know a couple of my mates are sort of grabbing work wherever they can because they're not 100% sure if there's going to be like work coming up. So having that sort of idea of you can just search around, pick and choose, I guess, like you said, the Tinder is really, it gives people a lot more, I guess, freedom and opportunity to get that easy work too.
Yeah, well, I've done a bit of a soft like marketing and release, and I've got like good interest, especially in hospitality industry and cleaning and that, because like, for example, you're at a cafe and Monday to Friday, you're not awfully busy and there's 2 people running it, but Saturday morning it's pumping and you need an extra set of hands. It's sometimes hard to just put a worker on for Saturday, so you can jump on the day before, swipe through, find their contact number and bring them in for that Saturday for 4 hours. And I stayed out of the payment side, so they can pay however they want, and it's all written in the rules and regulations that they have to follow.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's such a good concept. So did you develop sort of the GetWork idea when you were actually still like playing like footy?
Yeah, I was actually out of the game and I was like on the end of a shovel, and we used to call labour hire companies sometimes and commit to getting one of their workers and it's $250 a day or whatever it was, and they'd come out and they'd just be a dud.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man, I before teaching, I was a labourer and I worked for a company called Sunstate. I don't think they exist anymore. That's why I'm sort of naming them.
You're reading into the ground.
Mate, I tell you, some of the blokes that, because you get paired off with someone, and I tell you what, some of the people I got paired off with, I was like, holy shit,
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a good thing as well on the app. There's a star rating from previous jobs you've done.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I guess an Uber driver, they get rated. So if I'm the boss and I'm having a look at it and they got, 4 out of 5 stars and the price is right, then, you get to see what they look like, which is a weird thing to say, but most people want to know who's coming to work for them.
I think also if you're an international or someone, like you want to get a good rating because you want to get a job the next day too.
Yeah, exactly. So you get, I guess the idea of that like star rating is such a good, like, I had an Uber driver yesterday. We were actually talking about the whole star rating system, and then I asked him, I was like, how do you feel like working on like a rating system? And he was really like, yeah, I love it because it means the work that I put in it's like a representation of myself. 100%. And I thought about that and I was like, that's such a really powerful thing, that you're not only working for like money, but you're working for that reputation of, and in that way it pays off in that like, sweet, well, if you're good, if you're rated 5-star, you get to come back to work tomorrow or go somewhere else.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that Rate My Teacher app?
Dude, no. Oh, no, I have. I did.
Yeah, I got a start on there a couple of times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mate, I would hate to see mine.
What'd you get?
A couple of good ratings.
Oh, that's good. Man,
I think I might have done it myself.
I should have,
About footy coaching or teaching?
Yeah, Hartigan's a great coach. Terrible teacher. No, that's awesome. I'm really glad you sort of got in contact with Matt to come on as well, because I was thinking about it. They're very like, you look at obviously like the training side of things, but also like that leadership side, and then Matt, you're also looking at that like ability to work as well. I think it's so important for, especially, and it's I guess, Matt, you'd probably be able to comment on this as well. Like when you're a young sort of player, like how much emphasis is put on, I mean, when you were coming through, how much emphasis was put on like you need to have a viable career option as well? Like,
I think a lot of people let themselves down there because you definitely need one. Like, I don't even think the average NRL career lasts that long. And under 50 games or something,
games?
40 games or something like that, which is nothing. So, majority of people don't do the uni and stuff like that. I was lucky enough, I had that little incident earlier in my career, and that kind of spurred me on to start uni. I've got 2 units left or something. So
yeah, that's awesome. So you're studying business?
Yeah, studying business, nearly done that. But yeah, there's definitely facilities there to do it. They pay for your education. They employ people like Hardy to help you do it. But I guess when you're 19 or 20 or something, you just got tunnel vision of playing footy.
Oh, definitely, man. And I think we've all been there. If you play sport in any facet, like whether you play tennis, rugby, soccer, whatever, that is always the goal. Like,
100%.
My parents, when I was playing, like I played sort of at a higher level, but obviously it was getting to the point where I was like, am I really going to go to the next level? And I'm just lucky that my parents sort of, even though I didn't really want to, they pushed me on that education side. What's your backup plan? What's 100%. Your backup plan? Which is one thing I think we're doing well with, and I mean overall excellence programs, we're doing it pretty well. And I guess even in the business that you've sort of started, like that emphasis on, can you get a job? You don't have to just be a footy player to be involved in the game. Like there's so many different avenues, whether it's like sports science or even business and marketing. Like there's always avenues that you can go down that you're still affiliated with the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what I found myself. I'd had a very similar business in Sydney that went really well. But for it to go to the next level, I probably had to leave teaching. I was just loving teaching too much. But I got to the stage at Broncos where I was telling the players, do this. And then I was like, okay, it's going to be more powerful if I do it. So like pretty much me telling them spurred me on to start something, because I knew that if I've got something there that they can look at and see, like I've pretty much done it from start, and I've just documented everything from creating a domain through to setting up a company. I just felt like it'd be so much more powerful for them
to sort of have that like behind you as well, like saying, hey, I did this.
Yeah, and I think like I try and teach them about leveraging off the now.
Yeah,
like they've got so much power right now. So for me, if I can then go, okay, this is how you leverage, this is what I've done, I just know it'll be a lot more powerful than me saying it. I reckon they get a lot of people telling them what to do who haven't actually got the proof or the examples to show them. It's
you don't really have that. Like you need that sort of backing behind you, is, like I said, like to say, hey, you should do this,
Yeah.
and you know why I know this? Because I did this.
And it's like
this
when
is
you're teaching,
something
the
I did.
best teachers can give the best examples. Like if you're trying to teach someone how to run fast and you can't run fast, it's sort of like he's not going to learn how to run
Exactly
fast.
right. Yeah.
So for me, it was like, okay, and it was COVID that kicked it into gear, because obviously I went from being full-time Broncos to then all the staff being on leave without pay, to then I still kept doing all the education for the NRL boys and working closely with Matt and the likes, and I thought, no, now is the perfect time to show them rather than just tell them what to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I think now at the moment is such, like with people like, you know, even just basing it off like just basic media stuff with what like Connor Watson, Kalen Ponga, even down to like Chico and Ice. And there's so many different avenues that they can build off a simple like Instagram following. Like
Geordie Kahu's a good example.
Yeah, exactly. You have like, you know, a smaller, not even a huge following, but even utilizing that following to start something even bigger is something that I don't think a lot of players are aware that they can do. Like, you know, they're not really aware of like, hey, you know, you can start a PT business with your personal Instagram following. You know what I mean? Like, it's really crazy.
The power of the following.
Dude, the power of the following. And
Seriously.
I think it's good too, because I think you're giving, you know, with a lot of players coming through with a lot of side hustles while playing the game, like yourself included, Matt, it's like, for the younger generation coming through, it's not just like footy, I'm a footballer and that's all I am.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be finishing up their careers and having like, hey, I've got a full life after footy. Like I've got a full career, and I think that's super important.
Refreshing when things go bad too.
Yeah, and you know, like
probably society doesn't see it too. Like obviously I've just 2 examples, had to proofread a bit of Brady Croft's exercise fears, and then Alex Glenn's doing his certificates. Like they're actually working really hard off the field.
Yeah, and that's something that, and it annoys me that that's not publicized enough. You know what I mean? And that's every facet of sport, not just rugby. But
the good stuff doesn't sell.
And that's it, man. And like, you know, Matt, you've experienced a whole lot of that. You know what I mean? Like, and to come out the other side and have you do what you do, like getting people who need work, like. It sucks that there's not an emphasis on that. Like there's no newspaper articles about that. Like that's what pisses me off about the media, and that's sort of like why platforms, even just like podcasts, are so important, because like I personally think that the media don't really help any of these situations. They always put fuel to the fire, and like, you know, they need clicks, which is a shame, really. Yeah. So, but no, I really love the idea of like pushing players to think outside the box as well with like business ideas.
I think you learn so much. Like the app, my app will launch in a few weeks, and if it takes off, then you probably won't see me on a footy field again. But
yeah.
So the other example is too, everything that he's learnt in footy and sport translates into business. Like it's just from teamwork to being organised. To like putting in steps in place for this release to your marketing. So much of it comes back to sport.
Yeah, how much of this sort of did you learn on, like obviously going through uni and learning a lot through that, and how much of it was just learnt through you sort of doing your own research, doing a couple things like that?
I honestly genuinely think that, you know, whether it was me having a crack at this or someone making a clothing brand, or, you know, having a crack at your own personal business is the only way to get the experience and knowledge that I've learned more from this process than my whole kind of uni degree, if that makes sense, you know? Like
Definitely. I think that's
It's
the
like
same.
that moment when you walk in a classroom the first time.
I was just
You've
about
done
to
4
say.
years uni.
Yeah.
You walk in for the first time on your own. You stand at the front and you turn, and there's 30 kids that want to hear what you got to say.
And they're
It's
looking
like,
at you like, you should know what you're doing, and you're like,
that was the moment. And then obviously you walk to the next 70-minute class and you're like, it's already over that moment. But that first one is always so daunting. I think it's the same with.
Yeah, especially when you do it yourself, you know, you don't even know some of the things. Like I was just saying, you've got to create an Apple developer account and get this and that, and then talk to your accountant and, you know, create this business and this, and it's you just learn so much on the go that, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel like, you know, with having a footy career, do you find it very hard to sort of break out of that stereotype of I'm not a footballer anymore, like I'm a business owner? Do you find
I honestly think you know, my kind of motto is that unless I'm 100, like footy's my main job and I'm employed to that, so I need to be fully focused on playing before I kind of use any of that to benefit my second business, if that makes sense. I need to be doing my job there and focused there. Like I was when I was coming back from injury and we weren't going well, I'd kind of switched off from the business thing a bit and just put on all my energy in that.
Yeah.
So I guess it's hard in that way. You don't want to be playing like a bum and then advertising
Yeah,
stuff through
exactly.
your thing.
And you know that comes with a lot of heat too. Like, how did you find, you know, when the Bronx started sort of going through a little bit of I guess it was a weird time for everyone in terms of like COVID was just sort of coming to the surface of the severity of it, and there was talks of like obviously how the season was going to look, and then the injury happened. How much of those sort of things sort of affected the way you looked at business? Like, I could imagine like would have been overwhelming for you. Like, how was it kind of keeping the business sort of up as well as that?
Yeah, it was. Well, so this one hasn't actually like launched yet. It was more just we've been going through the process of design, and that's taken like a year, like all the steps to make the app, like send it in, test it, blah blah blah, all that. So it kind of slowed down a little bit through that because I kind of took my foot off the throttle and didn't stay on top of it. Maybe just for a month, so it probably got delayed a few weeks, but. It's definitely stages when, you know, you come home from a game and you got beat by 50 that you don't feel like getting uni out or this and doing anything like that. It's pretty tough, but at the same time, it's a good way to go home and start doing this and get your head out of the Broncos.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that's a bit how you're going at the
it's
moment,
definitely, I was going to say, it's definitely great that you had that, like, extra thing where if it wasn't going well, you're like, okay, that's sweet, let's keep that there, but I've got this now, like, this is what I'm focusing on now, this is going to, and then I guess when you get back to the other, you feel sort of quite refreshed. Matt, how do you ever feel as though, because obviously business and work is very, very similar at the moment, do you feel like sometimes, you know, you finish up at work, you're like, oh, like I've coached all day, now I got to go to my other business, which is coaching as well. Like, how are you sort of balancing those out?
I love it.
Yeah, you have to love it.
I think they often say there's like a disease. I think I've got the rugby league disease, but also like I genuinely love those little wins you have with coaching. And I think when I went full time with the Bronx, that's what I was missing, that day to day growth that you see in kids. Yeah. So for me, like, it's just like I really get a sense of enthusiasm coaching, so there's no real flat spot. Yeah.
Was it when you went to the Broncos, was it a lot more sort of office based stuff or?
Yeah, it was obviously two pronged. So it's obviously helping NRL boys with their education. Yeah. So as Matt said, they all get an allowance, and they've got that allowance for that year. They've got to use it in their year. So.
And that's all for education.
Yeah.
See, once again, I had no idea about that. So,
so the Broncos are a bit of a pioneer in that sense.
Yeah,
like
that's awesome.
They're probably the best in the NRL from all reports in promoting and encouraging the players to use that allowance. So there was that element. Then there was recruitment. So recruiting obviously the next Matt Lodge through the juniors.
Yeah. Did
you
find anyone as big as him?
There's a few coming through.
Oh no.
But yeah, just sort of missed that coaching element.
Yeah.
Which I know that will now come through 3P. Performance.
You know, Hardy was my teacher as well. Eh?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're family friends, and then he ended up teaching me, and
True. I remember I was on prac.
Had me off the rails.
I remember I was on prac, and we had Matt Moylan, who's another family friend.
Yeah.
I was teaching him, and then I had to teach Matt, and then carried him, had a sore back, got some physio. Then
how was
Matt? He was good. So here's a bit of a fun fact.
Yeah,
this is
go for it.
In a City Hermit exclusive.
Oh, how good.
He was top 3 in advanced English.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
He was really smart.
I come to that school and up here and
just went down.
Yeah,
it's because Hartigan was your teacher.
But again, there's a correlation there between, obviously he was really good at school in terms of probably not the best student, but the result, the academic results have now translated into him doing uni and creating an app.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you know, as obviously Matt's teacher, when you saw Matt as like a high school kid, did you ever expect, obviously, like the business side of things to come out of, like, you know, because
I knew you had the brains.
Yeah, we work with kids every day, and we sort of see them, and it's like that guy there is going to be like the next doctor, or that guy there is going to own a business one day. Was there ever...
I think at first, like, you obviously think every kid's going to make NRL when you first start teaching. You're like, this kid, of course this kid. And then obviously now, like 10 plus years in, you sort of start to get a gauge on how important, you know, how professional they are, how they apply themselves in class. Like at first, I think it's like, oh yeah, I think you'll still make it though. But it's like now it's like they have to be good in class.
Yeah.
They have to be methodical with their preparation. And obviously with Matt, he was really smart. So like, it doesn't surprise me at all. Obviously his brother-in-law now is Sean O'Sullivan, who played last night. He's another one who's studying. Like he's going to be successful no matter what. Yeah. Footy's just... at the moment.
Yeah.
But obviously we were at Tristan Brothers Blacktown, so it was such a strong rugby league school, like Marsden.
Yeah.
I got a couple of teachers to go back and see. There's always one or two teachers say, you're not going to play NRL, mate. Do your work. Which is true for Marsden.
Yeah, and I remember arriving at Marsden and I saw Tessie and I seen how hard he worked. I was like,
he's a workhorse.
He's going to make it.
I haven't seen, I honestly, like, and I think having him still come through to the kids, like, you know, it's like one of those things where it's like, look what he's doing. Like, look what he's doing. At any point, do you see him lose focus?
No.
And like some of the kids are sort of like, yeah, fuck. Like,
I remember the cleaners were blowing up at me one morning, saying that they got scared that there was a kid sleeping there at like 4:00 in the morning, and it was Tessie.
was he actually sleeping?
Yeah,
there?
he was sleeping.
That's
So he got
wild.
dropped off that early.
Super early.
Because he lived at an Arla. So it was
Yeah.
either get dropped off early or make the massive trek from an Arla.
Far out, man.
So
Like,
he was asleep. So I said to the cleaner, nah, it's all good, it's Tessie.
yeah, that's the difference, you know, like I look at a lot of, you know, players that are great, and then, you know, I think 18, getting to that 18, 19, that's such a hard age group because the level of distractions or the amount of distractions then just skyrockets.
Oh, big
You
time.
know what I mean? And it's like,
Typically the ones that get on, like that choose the alcohol party scene.
Yeah.
Like pretty much put a line through them.
yeah, essentially. And yeah, it does like,
They can claw back sometimes.
But you look at the Penrith left edge at the moment, like that's pretty much Blacktown. Like that's our old school
Yeah.
edge. That's Jerome Luai, Christian Crichton, Brett Naden,
yeah.
and like you can tell that like they're a team that's playing for each other just because they've been together for so long.
Yeah.
Ryan's exploded. I was coaching against him in club footy 3 years ago. I used to coach like a 17s team or 16s team. We used to verse him. Now he's bloody top of the table.
Unbelievable.
That's wild, man. It's nuts how like you see like the whole process, that you see the whole journey as well, and like it is sort of like a long game when you think about it. You're like, you know, especially with young players too. It's like, well, are you still going to be here in 6 years' time? Like,
Yeah.
what's you know, looking towards that.
I think that's the exciting thing though about in the position we're in.
Oh, definitely,
Like,
man.
Obviously Marsden, but also 3P. Like these are the things you need to do. That these are the non-negotiables.
Yeah.
If you want to give yourself even a slim chance.
Yeah, so with 3P, when you're sort of, because you're advertising now for like the elite preseason,
Yeah.
what does the elite preseason look like for young players coming in? So what's sort of
So
entailed in
essentially,
that?
it'll go for 12 weeks. There'll be a pre-testing and then a post-testing, and hopefully through that, like I'm really confident that you'll see improvement. Obviously, so that'll be not only athletic development around strength, cardio. That'll be right through to how they pass, how they move. So we'll video all that, and then essentially at the end they'll get a little report on how they've improved and what they've improved on. But then also knowing that 12 weeks is only a small period, what are the other tools that they need to strengthen? But basically they'll arrive, they'll do movement prep, then they'll go into a bit of a system where they'll get some gym, some speed and some field, and then each week I'm going to try and get a special guest that brings a different element. So I've spoken to Matt Geyer, Sean O'Sullivan, Matt Lodge, just try and give them as many different voices, and what they'll learn off one person, someone else can give. Like every coach has got something to offer, so it's just about finding the right people that by the end of the 12 weeks, this kid is not only a better person but a better player for being in 3P, and it sets up their 2021 basically.
Yeah, that's so awesome getting definitely getting people in like Matt. So do you see yourself sort of hanging around as sort of like a mentor in these sort of like with Hartigan?
Yeah, I will help him out. Like I'll still call him about some of my footy stuff. So I think 12 to or 13, 14 to 16 is they're getting a pretty good package for that age. There's nothing around like that when I was there. So especially if you don't get into a full-time contract or something when you're 16, like to be able to go to something like that, it's pretty unreal. And he pulls a few strings, a big fella.
And often you forget, like, say you're a kid coming through. If you're at Newstead Soccer Club and you only have that one coach all the way through, like,
it's tough, man.
You don't know what you've missed out on.
Exactly, yeah.
Or what you've gained.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's about giving, like, if a kid's genuinely got a passion for it, and I think the 3P is obviously purpose. What's your why? Do you genuinely want to have a crack at this? But not only that, like, hopefully I can teach them skills they can use for their whole life. How hard are you willing to practice? And then if you've got the persistence to match those two things, then every chance that you'll see improvement.
Yeah, well, you touched on it not long ago about how, like, teaching them, you learn so much in football or in sport itself that you can actually apply to, you know, work or something like that? Like, are you on time to training? Those things, like, you know, I guess for both of you, like, you could, obviously you played at a high level, Matt played at a high level, like, do you automatically see those things like that you learnt in football, and you see as you're doing business now, you're saying like, oh, like I learnt to be sort of disciplined in this because I did training here? Or like, I mean, talking to Desi, like the amount of stuff that Desi's learnt that he applies to just teaching that he has learnt through footy is insane. Like, do you sort of feel that as well, especially like Matt starting the business? Can you sort of see those things aligning, like even in like work ethic and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think like especially kids that, you know, that program will have the same sort of thing, but if they go through a semi-professional kind of thing, I guess like those kids will never, you know, ever hire a personal trainer or stuff like that, just because they learn all that stuff on the run. Like, not many 14-year-olds, besides going to that, or, you know, the Broncos, they're not going to come in for movement sessions and strength and conditioning, and so they learn little things that's going to help them their whole
You've got a
life.
couple of diehard Blues here, and I genuinely believe that. Obviously, you had a massive run of dynasty with Smith, Cronk, Slater, but I think we're about to do something similar.
I truly believe that as well. But as a Queenslander as well, I'm like, just it does. I don't know what it is. I think we put so much emphasis on like those golden players, but like it's, I don't know, like yeah.
But that was just alongside of the players spurring me on to give an example. It was also the fact that in Queensland, so many kids don't get the pathway. Because there's only two.
Yeah.
In Sydney, if you miss out on Penrith, you go to Tigers.
That's so true.
If you miss out on Tigers, you go to Cronulla.
North.
If you miss out on Cronulla, you go to North. If you miss out on North, you go to Roosters. So there's so many pathways. And yet in Queensland, it's just one of those things where there's two teams.
Yeah.
So if you're not in those 20 kids on either end, you're not getting that pathway. So that was essentially, that's the bridge that I hope to.
So many good players come out of there too that don't make it at 16.
Yeah.
Like they just.
And you know yourself, like if you miss out on a team, you're working your butt off to get in a team.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, if a kid misses out from 13, 14, 15, how often do you see it, Matt, where they just suddenly pop out of the ground because they're more hungry because they've been
there's
made to work
plenty of
harder.
them. There's so many of them, and in every sport. Like I know, for example, like Dylan Wenzelhall that plays for the Raw, man, like sort of had like I'm not like, I don't really know him personally or anything like that, but laid under the radar, exploded at Western Pride, scored like a ridiculous amount of goals, and then pathway straight into the Raw. But like that wasn't given to him from 15, 16. That was like...
And see, ask him what it felt like to miss all the teams. He would have just been grinding while everyone else was sort of just swimming in their own praise. And
well, Desi's story is like one of the my favorite NRL stories, man. Like debuting at 30 or whatever age it was, and like he literally got into his car and just broke down. He was like, all this work, all this time.
Who would have thought the inner city hermit would have the oldest debutant?
Oldest NRL debutant. I wear that. I wear that.
He's a legend.
Exactly, but like,
one of my best recruits to Marsden.
Oh, mate, 100%. Just because he's a great bloke, great on the beers too. But also like he I see him talk to the kids at school, and it's just like very much about that. Like it doesn't have to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, but what are you going to do today that in a year, 2 year, man, he literally, I saw him in the staff room. It was can't remember what day it was, but I just looked down. I was like, mate, are you okay? He's like, mate, I'm so broken. Because he was just out on the oval, like training. He was like there at 6, didn't go home till like 5. Like it's awesome. Like having,
how lucky are those kids?
Man, 100%. Like it's awesome. And like, even down to like, just different role models in that sense. Like you got Desi doing like, it's okay not to debut tomorrow. And then, with all the players you're getting in, like I think you're just creating a foundation for the kids that's like, if they're in the right mindset, they follow the right things, like they're going to be successful, whether it be on the field, off the field, anywhere. Like, and I think that's what the kids need to realize is like, footy's amazing. And Matt, like you're an example of this. Footy's great and whatever, but you can build so much more out of it as well.
Exactly. And we often talk about that. There's 2 circles we often draw when we talk about identity, who they are with their family, their friends, their hobbies. That's one part. Then there's rugby league, and when we're talking about rugby league, obviously we're trying to work on it there, but there's so much more to you than rugby league as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Desi's good for that, because like if he plays NRL, but he's a teacher as well. So
if he's perfect.
He's skilled on that. Yeah. Imagine you're 30 and didn't have be a stable, good quality job.
Yeah.
And, you know, got your games, and then you're just scratching your head what to do. That's why it's important.
Well, definitely, and like, you know, you boys would probably see it as well. The fact that, you know, when players do retire, there is an element of depression after it, because that's their identity, you know. And, you know, Matt, you're really lucky, and now that if you're not going back to footy, whether it be like, you know, QRL or whatever, that's not all your whole identity now. Like, your new identity, or like a new sort of upcoming identity, is you in the business realm with GetWork. Like, that's wild when, you know,
that feeling you talk about. For you, obviously, you'd see your 12 kid go on to do electrician, or if you played a role in that. Same for me. Like I can't wait to see all these players go on to something that they want to do, that obviously I've played that little minute role for 12 months with them to get there. Like, it's going to be a really good feeling.
Yeah. So if we're talking sort of like 2-3 year plan, where do you want to see 3P in the future? Where, like, what do you want out of it?
I probably just want to see examples of kids that go on to do things that they love. Obviously, if we're going to talk about it as a genuine pathway, then I want to create NRL players, and for them to look back and go, you know what, 3P contributed. So that for me, the goal will be how we can transition the players, not only just in footy, but everything we've talked about.
Yeah, and you know, I think the best thing about that is using examples that aren't just for footy. Like, if you've got someone who goes on to be like a paramedic or something like that, or any sort of job, even a teacher, like using them as an example too, as if like, hey, this is what I got out of the program. It wasn't just footy. And
100%.
I think that's awesome. And Matt, with GetWork, where do you sort of see that going? What's your sort of plan towards it?
Plan for that is hopefully launch within sometime in the next month. I've already signed up a fair few people around Brisbane, probably close to like 1,000 maybe.
That's
got
awesome,
accounts because it's all free.
Yeah, that's so good.
It's
man.
not really hard to convince people to.
The hermit's got a job, mate. Relax.
You want any casualty? No, we don't do teaching yet. I'm still working on teaching.
But as you said, like with the GetWork, like the power of, at the moment, COVID has changed society so much, but there's obviously areas where there is work.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, look at Woolies and the night fields.
Yeah, the biggest one on there is going to be casual labouring, like, you know, obviously building sites and just whatever anyone needs done that kind of they don't want to do.
Because I guess it's like they can't afford the year contract, but they can afford to pay the person day to day.
Cleaning's massive.
Yeah, even businesses now are like struggling big time. So this is allowing them, like I said, to get that.
Yeah, hospitality's big, like heaps of kitchen hands and that, and all cafes are looking for like one-off baristas and just people to run coffees and that.
When's the launch date?
Oh, well, Apple's just got to approve it. It's been a long... I've submitted the app to them. It takes up to 2 weeks for them to...
Oh, really?
Is it a black tie dinner or...?
I want to have... I'm thinking more of a harbour cruise.
Yeah?
That'd be cool.
That'd be nice, man. That'd be unreal. Oh, mate, I'll be there. For sure.
I might put a little, a photo at the front door. If you come on the boat, you got to give me a shout out. It's all about the following.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
I want to put it on, so it's all free for the employer, employee, everyone, just trying to boost the numbers through it. I'm going to try and target Brisbane first before I take it, to Sydney and that, just because I got a bit of help up here for some connection. Obviously, see, at the moment, I probably can't advertise anything through the Broncos. Could we put something out about in the app and they'd say, start having to go on the field, Like, it's hard.
Literally, and like, that's the thing about it is like, it is hard, like having that sort of like, because there are some diehards where if you, God forbid, you're setting yourself up for another life, like, fuck you, man.
Why is he doing on the field?
Yeah, like, exactly, and that must be so, like, it's just another hurdle that you have to sort of jump over to get something positive off the ground, which is like...
And there's so many people in that organisation that are just doing it tough because of the results.
Yeah, man,
Like they're working so hard, but everything falls back to the result.
Exactly,
plan 2 to 2 years, hopefully, like, I'll add a subscription for the workers, so say it's like $1 a week.
Yeah.
If I've got 5,000 people in Brisbane as workers and employers, that'd be the goal, and then Sydney, and then...
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, going into sort of the development of the app, I could imagine that was a very tedious process. Like how...
Yeah, heaps of different examples, hey?
Yeah. Let us like, what was it like? Because I think a lot of people just assume like, here's the app and it's up and I'm a millionaire. Like, what? How was the process?
So obviously, first it's a risk. Like they're not cheap to make. So it's me sitting there. I think I got a good tax return a year ago or two, and I was like, you know what? I've been thinking about this for 3 years. I'm gonna just have a crack at it. Why not? And Yeah, I actually got lucky. I got a good company that, I've heard so many stories about people getting apps developed. Their first company's bad. They do 50 grand on that. They didn't get what they want, and then they go here and there. Like, it's just, I got real lucky. I've got a good company straight away.
That's another thing. People
awesome.
don't see the risk.
There is in everything. There's a massive risk. Like, mate, even getting clothes developed.
So many people have ideas, but if you're gonna go, you're willing to put 50 grand of your money into it, or 20 grand, or whatever it costs. Like, you're like, oh. Just doubt yourself for a second and don't do it. Next minute, someone else has done it in a year.
And you're like, fuck, that was my idea. You know what I mean? Like, I think, Ice put up a thing on his Instagram yesterday, and it was like, that idea that you're thinking of right now, in a year's time, someone will have developed that, and it's your idea. And you're like, fuck, that's 100% true. Like, you have to, I guess, and it's weighing up that risk is... I said to, because Kia obviously runs her own dietetics business, and like some days she comes home and she's like, is it worth it? And I was like, well, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. You know what I mean? So no, that's awesome. So now the process with Apple. So what does the app? So I sort of went on the website the other day and had a look at how you sign up there. What's the app going to do or change that? How's the app going to actually work in terms of employees and workers?
Yeah, that was me. So that was like kind of the marketing. That was signing up people. It was just to say a Facebook marketing. That's what I found the most effective. Yeah. Are you looking for work? Might be the headline. You are. What's your name? What do you want working in that? And then that'll filter all through to me, and I can go through them and set them up an automatic account for the day it launches. Yeah. So when it launches, there'll be 1,000 people on it as opposed to 0. Yeah. So the last thing I'd want is someone getting on and like scrolling for a worker and there's just nothing.
Yeah, so far, that's something I wouldn't have even thought of. Like, you need literally all the data and everything on there before it even launches.
Yeah, I get it from, you even got to pay for the storage. I do it through Amazon, so most apps do it through there. But yeah, I'm pretty lucky. The company that's doing it for me is being pretty helpful and knowledgeable. So, I went to them with an idea. I think it was 6 weeks before that idea got put into a booklet of what it could possibly be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Review that, like another 6 weeks to do this. Yeah. And God knows how they coded and that. But
yeah, what's the company that you went to?
It's called Cubisoft. They just had an office in Milton and the Gold Coast. I'm sure they outsource a lot of work to, whether it's Russia or something like that, but at least they're in Australia overseeing it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's nice that they're close too. Like they're in contact. I think the scariest thing for a lot of people, whether you're developing apps or clothing or even just like a simple brand, is like having to outsource to someone and they don't see what you see in your head and trying to articulate it to them when you get something back and you're like, I see what they were doing with that, but like it's so
you got to be ruthless.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man.
You can't afford to for it to be live and something like a glitch or something stops up. Like, so crucial if people using it and it's not loading or especially you get value getting them made in Asia and India and that, but I didn't have the time to translate conversations and the language barrier and that. So
and that's a big thing, like time. Like it's valuable in every sense. So like how did you sort of find, you're sort of lucky you went through Struddies, so obviously you're close with the boys from Struddies and they sort of hit the nail on the head pretty well with the jersey straight up.
They came on board as a partner. Yeah. But I think like what you touched on, like I'm very particular in what I wanted. So like, there was a couple of times like, nah, yeah, that's the one. Yeah. And for me, the first one was like going to war. So we're going to put in the hard work to get the results. That's why I sort of went with the army sort of thing.
That's sick. Yeah. I love that, man. So that's so awesome. I'm so glad that like it is working, and I think for you, Hartigan, especially, like now that I sort of know that, Matt was one of your students. Like, I think, for you, still being in contact, seeing Matt develop, I guess that's a really big win for you as, I guess, putting your teacher hat on as well. Like, that's awesome.
We played footy together, so, A grade 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, really? I came out of retirement.
Really?
Peachy called him to fix Marsden. We called him to fix the... And I put in a call to fix our local.
Bob the Builder over here.
So he obviously came back from the America drama and was only allowed to play within A grade competition, which is like, say you're playing, I don't know who'd be here, Wynnum.
I would be like playing for
Normby. Aren't they in it?
Yeah,
Aspley, like your local comp.
Yeah.
Div 1. So I think it was June 30 was the cutoff. I think I signed up maybe June 26. And I went, I was so excited, hey.
Oh, man.
It was awesome.
Grand
We lost the grand
Yeah.
final by 2.
Well, they would have spent 150 grand on their team. The opposite, we probably spent 20 grand. I was playing
It was
for free.
unbelievable.
Hardy tried to milk the club for every dollar. I'll play for free.
It was an unbelievable year, though. It
Yeah,
was
well,
really
I saw,
good.
like, I saw Scott Printers playing for Valley Diehards now, man. Like,
And they're going good.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like, I think that's so cool how having, like, a player of, like, his caliber sort of coming into, like, a local team as well, like, that what that could do for that club, eh?
Yeah, amazing things. I know that I'd love to get another year with Desi, and just depends if he's keen to move to the Gold Coast.
Ooh. Beaches.
Just
Bring back Mr. January.
The rig.
I'll give you a look, man.
Yeah,
So you
man,
get
I was
an
just about to
idea.
say, I just saw it.
Hardy said you'd sign in like that. I'm saying that's I'm the employer.
Yep.
Search, pick a category. So we'll go construction.
Yeah, it's very much like
user friendly.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very clear as to how you can get everything in there and
Health and fitness, you get PTs and that.
That's
masseuses.
sick. So it's like I guess what people need to know is it's not just tradies, is it?
No,
it's all types
people
of
get
work,
that.
hey?
Yeah, it's got. Well, let's go. A couple. We got construction, cleaning, office, like beauty, like makeup artists and
That's
that. Because
awesome.
heaps of those chicks, they get. Say they run their own business, they get too many people, they need to put another girl on or something.
Yeah,
to
that's
help out.
awesome, man.
It's got lots of stuff. So, say construction. I put a couple of the boys on here for an ad, so you'll see them come up. Pick what day we want them, and they come up like that. So I've just put them in, and you swipe through like Tinder.
That's sick.
They get
So
the rating.
it's very similar to as dumb as it sounds. It's a little bit like Uber Eats. Like you put in what you want to eat, where your location
Yeah.
is, bang, comes up with all these options, and then you just pick what you want based on. And it's even got their hourly rate there as well. Which is
That's
awesome.
optional because I thought like if you're a worker and you don't want me calling you offering you $12 an hour, lowballing you. So that's optional to put down, and you get their phone number straight away because I thought if they're working tomorrow, the last thing I want to be doing is trying to send an email. They come in, I don't know, so you just call them, bang. So really, they could stay in contact after that and not lose their business. But I'm just hoping.
Yeah, well, I guess, for you, yourself, like, business is great, but overall, you're trying to make a difference in someone's life. Like, and I think that's the best thing about this. Like, it's very much about you putting back and giving an opportunity for someone else to, I guess, feed their family. Like, that's the biggest thing, man. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully it goes well.
Yeah.
We'll see how we go.
I think, I definitely reckon it will. It'll blow up. I'm keen because I like, but once again, like, I think this is something that I wish more people would be talking about. You know what I mean? Like positive things that so many different players are doing, whether it's coaches, players, like ex-NRL players, like these things are so good. And like, you've got the ability there to literally change someone's life. Like, and I think that's the most powerful thing you can have.
So I'm trying to rush in and get it out because at the moment, lots of people losing their jobs and that. You can jump on there and, you might not be a labourer, but if you can get $200 for the day doing it, like they'll jump on and do it.
Definitely. Yeah, no, that's awesome. No, that's really, really cool. Well, boys, I think we've been going for close to an hour there, 43. I reckon we keep going. You want to keep going?
Yeah, bro, ask somebody controversial. Get some.
Do you mind?
You've been stinging for it. Let's get into it.
All right, no. I won't.
Did you read the backstory?
Hey?
Did you read all the...
Just put in the headline. Skip the 43.
Nah, but no, I don't really care about the situation. I want to know about more about you, like coming back to, when I first heard about you coming back, obviously, because I'm a Broncos supporter, I hear that, and then, the parameters that you sort of had to come back on, like, what was it like coming back? And what was it like coming back and the reception sort of, I could imagine it was super mixed. Like,
I'm not going to sugarcoat it, man. I reckon I was probably the most hated player in the history of NRL, and like big chance of still being it. Like every time I touch the ball in Sydney, you just get a big like boo.
How did that sort of affect your?
Steve
playing,
thinks
man?
he's got pressure.
Yeah,
try getting booed.
at least
every
he can
touch of the
skip
ball.
out and make $1 million.
I know.
Even when you're playing A grade, it was...
The A grade was one of the hardest,
because I used to
most
just
enjoyable,
target him.
but
Yeah,
Which gave me a lot of space.
good for Mr. Fix It.
A grade was hard because we were playing like bikie Brockies and everything, and you know,
Western Sydney,
it's rough, man.
From the day I got back from New York, if I had one tiny slip up, like I would never have made it back to the NRL. If that makes sense. Yeah, whether there was a fight in A grade or you know, it wasn't.
And there was a lot of people testing you. I remember you got banned for 3 matches.
Yeah, I got banned for that. Like
it was just for nothing.
Couldn't retaliate.
Maybe he tackled him too hard.
Someone would king hit me, and I couldn't hit him back.
But this is the scrutiny that people don't realise. Like I think last week we were at Burleigh together, and it was everyone was looking at him like as if to say, "Why are you out of the bubble?" Like it was like everyone's just got an opinion. Like everyone just buys into it, and it's just there's so much energy on it.
Man,
coming back. Wayne was good for me. Like I don't think any other coach, kind of maybe one or two others, but you know, if I didn't have him at the time, like I probably wouldn't have got back because he was just so strong on like he's playing, he's here.
Yeah, I've heard some amazing things about Wayne through Desi, through just other players as well. Like you know, I think that's to have him sort of have your back and like
some good players too. Josh Maguire, I'm still tight with him. He, you know, he was just like you're in the team, like we'll look after you and that. And yeah, it was good. Like I came to the best club for that because Wayne looked after me. The players looked after me. Like at one point in the pre-season leading into when I was going to play my first game, like there was cameras on the training field, like following me. I had to leave training. And
fuck, man.
It's hectic,
yeah.
And I threw the intercept in my first game.
But like, can we put that highlight clip in there?
Oh, can we get it?
Yeah, Milford's running the wrong line there. I can run the sweet line outside the centre.
Oh, man. Like,
but I think the fact the Broncos stuck by him...
Man, that's awesome.
They're going to come through this tough period. And I think like people look back and they'll probably win a premiership in the next 5 years and they'll go, you know what...
It's going to take some time.
The tough time got us to where we're going to get to.
Yeah, I think they had it so good for so long. I don't think they had that. Like my mate's a Knights supporter, and you can't bring that dude down because he went through the years of like having Joey there and being amazing, then being garbage, then being good again. It's like
salary caps evened it out. Like when I look at those Bronx great teams, like they got like 16 out of 17 international Australian players.
Yeah, man. Like I remember, like that's why I sort of started watching so much Origin because half our players were from Broncos and Cowboys, man. It was crazy, man. So when did you feel like everything sort of, I guess, I'm not going to say like the heat because I guess there was always heat on you no matter what you did. When did you feel like do you feel like people sort of got not over it, but sort of did, you know what I mean? Like you got out of the hole a little bit?
I've always find like most people that, you know, whether you forgive me or didn't care that much, or they just treat me like a normal person now. They're like they just wouldn't be online writing stuff and that. They're just not that type of people. So, you know, I cop so much heat online on like Facebook forums and stuff like that or other teams, but you know everything's going good in my life now and,
exactly, man. Like I think that's the best thing about it. Like, and one thing that I think this whole as a whole, like the whole cancel culture around everything is like the thing I hate about it is it doesn't give people a pathway to change, to get better. Like,
and that's going to be my focus. Like when I go, you know, hopefully Peachy gives me the assistant coaching role. But when I like helping. Like honestly, I always say it in my newspaper and that I don't really get much out of myself helping people that are going well, if you know what I mean. So I like helping those kids out.
He's coming to Mars in a fair bit though.
Yeah,
had a bit of adversity or you know.
I think Western Sydney and the Logan region are so similar.
Yeah.
Same upbringings and
I think I've got to move out there. I'm getting sick of the inner city.
Oh mate,
you know yourself though. How many good kids are there out in tough situations?
Yeah, definitely, man. And I think you know we know it as best as anyone is that those kids are still good kids. Like they're. I don't think you know, and we have kids that do have terrible home lives or terrible backgrounds, but you know our job is so much more important than just teaching them. You know what I mean? Our job is like to some of the kids I teach is like I reckon I'm like more of a father figure than anything, which is for me as a young bloke like that's quite scary. You know, like it's a lot of pressure and you know that's.
I feel like I didn't have a bad like home life, nothing like that. I get on with my parents really well now. I just like love to party a bit, when I was too young. So I remember Arsenal, I used to see them out when I was like 15, 16, and that was when they were in their peak of going out. So I used to see them everywhere in Sydney,
Yeah, no, but do you, like, you know, I made a point today, like, obviously I didn't want to touch on it too much. Like, I wanted to focus on...
I don't care, man. I'll go fully... accepted it now, so I'm happy to.
And I think that's awesome to hear. It's awesome to hear that it's a time of your life where you're like, that happened. I can't change that. I can't change what did happen. I can't change the way people think about it. But all I can change is the things that I'm doing. And I
set
think
me up pretty well in a way, because since then I've got a good deal playing footy. Like got missus and 2 kids, and like everything's gone upwards kind of since that event. I was going down, rock bottom, whatever, and then just hasn't been a backward step since then.
Yeah, so. Probably the ultimate, I guess, resilience story, man. You've copped more online abuse and everything that more people that I think could even understand or even comprehend, and you're still there. I'm doing this. I'm still battling through. I don't care. I'm going to go through. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be a better person. And man, I think you've done an amazing job to deal with that.
I still remember texting you pre flying over, and you at Tigers.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, well, you were going to come train with me.
I was going to do heaps of things.
He was going to come train with me.
I was going to pull out of that trip.
I remember the call when he was in the jail. I was like, what the hell? Because obviously you ride every emotion when you're a teacher, whether your kid debuts or they sign up to the electrician apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And then to hear one of them in jail was like, holy hell. Especially a family friend as well.
Yeah. What, feel free, to shoot me down, but what was it like, when it first sort of happened? And
I'll never go the full detail, but pretty much I was going to pull out of that trip. I had a similar knee brace on and just had surgery and that. And then, the night, I think on the way over, I had 8 sleeping pills on the plane. We landed at 5:00 in the night. I seen Ice and Chico and all that. Chico coming out of users, so I know them now, but I seen them that night and talking to Chico after, he's like, mate, you're just off your head kind of pretty much. Yeah. I didn't know, so I started having beers and then they mixed with the sleeping pills. Yeah. Went out 2 hours after we landed and then pretty much just woke up handcuffed. From then, I don't think I had contact with home for 2 weeks because American phone, American numbers, didn't know who to call, It took 2 weeks probably for old man to come over with some money and sold me a house to pay all that stuff off and pretty much started again.
Shit.
Paid the debt, played for Bronx for free for probably the first couple of years and then now I'm pretty going alright.
Man, that's a crazy story that you were playing there for, playing without wage. I could only imagine the stress, not only because the stress of playing at that level is fucking crazy, let alone playing for free, man.
Lucky in a way, I just because I was playing for free in A grade, so I genuinely love playing. If I wasn't playing professional, I'd be playing who were we playing for?
Crumman Eagles.
Eagles. So.
Who are we playing for again?
Actually, we did speak about that though. Have another year once you're done.
Oh, I have another year back at St.
Roll the wheelchair
Oh
out.
yes.
When I'm done, but I go back to St. Pat's and
Blacktown.
Play in a dinner suit.
Nah, it's really cool, man. I'm so valuable, and I really hope people, not to plug myself here, but I hope people do listen and do understand that you're doing amazing things, man. You're a lovely dude. And I just wish people would sort of do more research than just reading what the fuck the newspaper says.
This goes for anything, though.
Yeah.
Anything you read on I'll just turn on the news now, and there's just everything's so sad.
Yeah, it is, man.
Back home, I used to always just put the news on for the sake. I haven't watched the news in 5 years. Seriously,
COVID's done it to me, man. I had to turn off, man.
Donald Trump or America, this person died on this.
But I think it's a good story of resilience, but also persistence.
Definitely.
Knowing that people are resenting you, but just staying true to the core, staying true to who you are, learning from it, and then obviously coming out the other side and being a better person for it.
Probably lucky in a way that my personality type was kind of, if he's doesn't want me to go well and blah blah, I'm kind of I'm gonna kind of do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it
rather
anyway.
than everyone's coming at you
I think the GetWork and the study has proven that. Obviously, the footy's a bonus. He still would have done. He would have done anything anyway. He still would have been successful.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about it is like you said, you've got that backing behind you now. When you say, "Hey, I've been through this. I've been through fucking hell, fire, whatever. I'm out the other side. I've got my own business." You can do it. You can come out of situations that are shit and come out just as beneficial as if nothing went wrong. And I think that's the best thing about you, especially doing a lot of work with the kids as well, saying that it is possible.
Done a few other talks to them, help them out, but we'll end up setting something up.
Yeah.
A bit later when have a little bit more time in footy and then set something up where I can help those kids, whether, you know, it's juvenile detention centres or this and that. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's probably what I'd be focused on.
Have you ever had to visit a kid that you taught in jail?
No, but I've taught a couple that I know are there at the moment.
Yeah.
Like I won't go into detail, but I taught a couple that have come out, gone back in again. It's
They're never really as bad guys. Like,
No, I remember.
Yeah.
I've visited a couple and they're doing amazing now. They've got families and whatnot. So like for anyone that is listening, there is always a way to get through it and come out the other side.
Man. And there's a path to recovery. That's the thing that I just wish people would understand. Like, you know, there is a path to getting back on track. And, you know, I hate the fact that when people work so hard to make it better, one bad news article can bring them straight back and
100%.
take away all that hard work.
I think that's the thing that I see. Obviously, I got to see firsthand with Seabold. Like, he is a freakish coach.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's a great person. But no one will ever know that. Do you know what I mean? Just because of what's written.
Man. And like,
but he's going to be back. Like, I've got no doubt he'll be coaching somewhere.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I do hope
trying to get an
that...
assistant role there.
No, but he is a good coach.
Yeah, no, and I do hope, like, I always hope that, you know, there is a way that people can get out and tell their story that's not like fucking a current affair where they're like,
So
like,
there's no point, like, besides doing these, there's no real point, because even if you always do a good one and then you go
It gets
watch
flipped.
it and it's just cutting that.
That's what I hate, man. Like, the best thing about these things is, like, there's no editing from start to finish. There's no cutting, man. It's just you get raw, whatever comes out,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
and you got an hour to explain yourself. You don't have to be like, you know, one thing I always talk about whether it be with like a rugby player or a soccer player, whatever, you get 2 minutes at the end of a game to explain why your team lost whilst you're fucking gassed. Like, you know what I mean?
I never do it well. Every time I get sent to the press conference, I don't want to be.
But how many times do you see it where it's like it's just your cliche? They're just answering it like it's never truly what they believe.
No, it's just, and you know, the club will probably be like, hey mate, don't say this, don't say the rest of the shit, don't say this player was a dickhead, like that. And in your head, you're just like, what? I do want to say that was a shit guy. I do want to fuck. Like, the worst thing I've seen is like when people, like, especially in the NBA, when like LeBron sits down at a table, he's just lost, and then they ask him like, oh, do you think like you're gonna do this outside? And he's just like, man, I'm here to talk about fucking basketball, and you're asking me about this. I've just played.
Yeah.
Like, give me a fucking
We said that
break,
the other
man.
day, Trent Robinson. He's like, this press conference has been going for 9 minutes 30 and you haven't asked about tomorrow's game.
Yeah. Like, everyone's so caught up about, like, I need to make the story that's going to get the front
love
page. And
People
you know,
love it. It's a bit sad in a way.
it really is, man, because the diehard fans, we want to hear about, like, you know, with, like, I'm a massive UFC fan. I know you're, like, do a lot of training with, like, jiu-jitsu. Do you still do, like, jiu-jitsu stuff?
I was doing it with their coach went in Sydney, but
Yeah.
it's been so hard to do anything since COVID.
man,
You can't go
Did
see
you ever
him,
do
can't
Thai?
What's that?
You done?
Bam Bam?
See,
Yeah, I've done a little
I
bit
coached,
of training with
I
him,
coached
but
Bam.
Really?
Well, my brother
Oh,
was the head
man.
coach. I helped him out, man.
threw me around.
He
for-
would have.
Yeah.
If he
Dude,
wa-
that is terrifying that he
Yeah,
threw
I
you
know,
around
that's
because
what-
you're giant.
That's what I was
Mate.
trying to say to the boys at training. Like, I'm in footy terms, I'd be a good wrestler at our team, and then I'll go in with him,
Yeah.
and like he's thrown me.
For
like
all the
12
UFC
year old.
fans though, like he would have played NRL
Yeah.
if he stuck at it.
Yeah,
He was 10 meters out,
Fast.
literally unstoppable.
Yeah. Oh, man, I could imagine because he's
Half
a giant.
half
He's
indigenous,
fast,
yeah.
half Samoan, like the perfect
Good
concoction.
pedigree.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Man, that's, yeah, because I love, like, I'm a fucking, like, you ask Des, man, I think I'm the reason why Des wins his UFC bets, because I'm just like,
Can you send
yeah.
me some multis after doing this.
But, like, because
But
I'm
Bam
not-
Bam's a great person too.
Yeah,
but I
that's-
think what you see is what you get with him. All these
Yeah.
social
I love
media
that,
and that.
though.
Like
I love what you
he's
see is
raw.
what you get.
Yeah, man. Well, that's why I love,
Wish they could come out in footy and just be like,
dude,
fuck this guy,
and I
fuck
had,
him, fuck
you
him.
know, on the Ice podcast, I was like, said to him, I was like, why can't footy players be like wrestlers? Where they just come out, they talk fucking mad
Yeah.
shit. They could do, like, I know it probably wouldn't work in the way, like...
it wouldn't work because you play week to week.
Yeah,
so-
exactly.
See,
man.
Bam Bam would get the ball and make a break, and he'd be able to run the length.
He's fast.
Seriously, he's
You can
fast.
tell when he
It's
fights.
fucked,
He's
eh?
explosive.
It's-
Well, man, I saw Papali's top speed. Could you imagine that? Like, you've probably had that happen to you where he runs...
Speed, no,
yeah.
none of that.
No, but what I mean,
Slug.
like, you might have had to tackle him at one point or
Yeah.
something, but
Did you ever?
could you imagine
I
that
think so, yeah.
speed and that
Probably.
size? Like, what?
See, Bam Bam was. Oh,
He's older than me.
he was so good to watch,
Yeah.
and he was a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
But I think for him, it was like that was his UFC fighting was his passion, and look at him
Yeah.
now, like he's
That's unreal,
on the
man.
world stage.
Yeah, because I saw you did some training with Rob Whittaker as well.
Yeah,
eh?
they just took us in and looked after and showed some
How
basic stuff. And
yeah, how was training with those guys?
Those guys train so hard. It's not funny. Like the trainer as well, Alex. Like he's his cornerman now. He goes, come in at 9 o'clock. Like I planned a lunch at 1 o'clock. This is in Sydney. Just thinking, we'll roll around for an hour or two. Like it was getting on 12:30. They're still rolling, still training. I'm like, mate, there's been this 5 hours. They just flog themselves.
They would have took you to some dark places. Though.
Yeah, their work ethic is so good.
Yeah,
and they go every day. I think when Rob had his spell, he was training like before that 7 days a week for eight years.
That's insane, man. You hear some of their fight camps. Some of their fight camps are just brutal.
What about a good example of BMM though? The side hustles. Drink West, is it?
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, is he? Yeah, that's right. He does the
beer.
The beer.
What
Yeah.
is that?
That's so
From
sick, man.
The shoeies.
I love, how good, dude. That fucked a lot of American people up seeing shoeies. Like they were like, "What is this dude
Bro,
doing?"
I didn't know that. Nothing against Fan Band, but I didn't know about the spit in the shoey. Like I'm all for the shoey. I'm all for the shoey.
Mate, he
he
doesn't discriminate against the old shoes either. It's any shoe.
It's dirty shoes.
Yeah.
Well, I personally think a shoey must be done out of dodgy shoes. You don't want to see
a boot.
Yeah, a boot. Specifically, man. I've actually got a couple like my
Shoey
boots. My Tiempo's just like completely ruined like last week, but I keep one of them just for end of season trip to do shoeys out of. You have to do it.
The other good example of someone who would have played NRL and now took a different route was Jaquil.
Yeah.
So he's 7-0, he's called.
Okay.
He just released a song with JMs from 1-4.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so he was on the path and
This is probably the best junior player I've ever seen.
ridiculous footballer.
Oh really?
And he chose singing and now he's taken this long but he's cracked it now. He's obviously
That's unreal, man. I love hearing stories like that. Like, and I think that's coming full circle. Like, I think the kids need to realize, especially from a young age, that you can be good at multiple things.
Yeah.
Like, just because you're good at footy doesn't mean that that's you forever. Like, there are so many, even like, for example, like Mundine, to go like old school. Like, it's crazy to think that he was just like, I don't really want to play. Like, I don't, I'm not really big on how good he was or whatever.
Yeah.
But to go like, yeah, I'm good at that, but watch me do this.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I think I was with the year 8 class the other day and I wrote on the board my rap rugby league team.
Yeah.
So far it's got I got at lock I got Hooligan Hefts.
Yeah.
So I coached and taught him.
That's
7-0 up front. Jaquil for Mano.
Yeah.
We'll tag all the boys in it. The other front row will be Marv's.
Yeah.
I'll show you some of his work. In the centre's Junior for now.
Yeah.
No Money Enterprise.
Yeah.
Handy team.
Yeah. That's a fucking half decent team, man.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
No, we're still got to fill
Well,
it.
I'll
my
slip that
talk.
up. I'll slip that up. We'll post on Instagram.
No, well,
Hartigan's
well, my
starting
talk
team.
was to the boys. Who's next? Like I need a half. Who's going to be the next rapper in this class?
That's
Joe
sick
off
too.
Spins a few.
Man, just throw Mark Bano in the mix.
No, but Hooligan Hash.
Any white guys? Nothing?
Nah.
Matt Lodge come up on the rap scene.
How much is Hooligan Hash killing it?
He's killing it.
Unbelievable. So
That's
he
why
was
I didn't
like-
realize
when I
that
used
was
to
like
go-
they played.
When
Yeah,
I used
that's
to go, when
crazy.
I was in like year 11 or something, I remember I was a frequent flyer in the lunchtime detentions, and he was always there every time. Year 7, just this year 7 kid just sitting in there every day. Hey mate, good to see you again.
Yeah. There's something about like in the detention room, like Mitch Askew and I always bond over when we were in RTC together back at our old school, and like you'd see the same people in there.
Same
Like you'd rock
people,
in and you'd be
yeah.
like, yeah, g'day boys, like you know what I mean? Like,
Hardy used to send me there.
oh,
I
really?
never
How did that,
I never
mate?
got one detention, mate. Clean.
You're clean as. I didn't get many. I was always a smart, cheeky kid. Like I'd always throw my mates under the bus first. Like I'd always be the one that never got caught. Whereas like some of my mates, I remember one of my mates, Luke, like literally would always get fucking done every single time. Man.
I was
Yeah.
good, man. I either really liked the teacher or we just didn't get along. There was just no,
Yeah, I think I had a couple. It's amazing when you think about like you think back to those teachers. Like I guess you're lucky you're still with Matt, like hanging around and working with each other. But I've got so many teachers that I'm like, man, like that dude like inspired me in one end, or even in like some of the things I do as a teacher. I'm like, I do that because Mr. So and So did that. Or
Who would have been yours?
When's the first kid gonna...
Robbie Bangle.
Yeah,
He was good.
legend. When's the first kid going to graduate and you do a shoey with him?
oh man, dude, there has been some times where like I've been out, I've
You
seen
see
a
him
kid, and
out?
I'm just like, just fucking leg it. I was like, nah, can't do that. I think a couple boys that graduated 2 years ago, I saw them at the Vic once. They were like, yeah, sir, and I was like, yeah, see ya. I had to go.
That's what's good for me. They live on the Gold Coast.
You don't see him. That's like a new set though. It's great.
No, I want to see him, but it's just you don't want to.
You don't want to see them when you're like not in teacher mode. You know, it's one of those things, eh?
Anything else, bro? You need to get off your.
Nah, mate. Nah, I don't. Like I said, man, I don't care. Like, I just want to know about how you came through it. I don't want to know about the details. I think everyone. Yeah, I think
next year, eh?
Yeah, I think that the best thing is, man, is like things are changing, things are getting better, and like the work you've done is crazy. So like I think for you, man, it's just awesome. Like to see someone come from where you came from to where you are now, and like the amount of shit that was said, the amount of whatever, and like to see you, like I saw you, like met you just before, like big smile on your face, ready to go, it's refreshing, man. It's awesome. So that's a testament to your personality as well.
So you can get back on the field next year and do me real job.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, boys. Well, I think we've done over an hour, and then everyone sort of got their fix of Matt Lodge's take on everything that went down. But
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no, boys, I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm glad you guys did come on. I'm excited, and I hope to get
we'll have to do another one.
Man, I'd love to get more footy players doing cool stuff on. Like I think it's great to shed light on.
Talk to non-footy guys. It'd be a shit convo if we were talking.
Oh, dude, I'm like that. I'm like that with football, like soccer. Sometimes I'm like I can't. I just want to talk about something different.
Yeah, talking about the personal brands would be sick. Like there's so many of those guys there who haven't yet started but have got the power if they want.
Mate, your mate who's living it up in Dubai. Who's that guy? What's his name?
Sam.
Yeah, man, he's the man. Like he's all over business. Yeah. Like that's great. Like
but I got his brother to Marsden. That's where we linked up.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, he's one of those dudes who just works his ass off, man, which is from what I see on Instagram. Yeah. But anyway, boys, where can we find Hartigan? We'll start with you. Where can we find all your stuff?
So jump on Instagram at 3p__performance. And obviously also on Facebook. And then we start October 12th. So we'll have some footage and videos and
sweet as
coming through.
Send me through all the stuff and I'll post it. And Matt, when does yours sort of take off?
So the next few weeks, man, jump on the App Store and download there.
GetWork.
Excellent. GetWork.
I'll get you some work.
Yeah. I love the name now. It's just like bang. Hey, what do you do? I just get work.
Need work? Get work.
Yeah, awesome. No, that's awesome, boys. Thanks so much for coming on. Guys, that's the Inner City Hermit podcast. Everything from footy to business to whatever else comes up. If you like the stuff, go subscribe, go follow, leave a lovely review, or don't. It's up to you, but give me 5 stars because that's where it's at. Cheers, boys. Thanks so much. Excellent.